going on, guys? Will Homer here. Welcome back to the channel. Just going to go over a couple of things what we had in the market today. Let's take a look at a few different tickers. There's some massive bangers that happened today. We actually picked up a few calls on a few different plays. Had options that actually went up anywhere between 20% all the way up to about 200% bangers on a few different tickers, including AI, C3AI, also on the SPY and 0 DTEs. Also on a few other ones, some of the blue chips, GOOG, as well as Amazon and Tesla. Had a couple of runners as well, sitting on GME, and also had some nice movement on the AMC as well. We're going to go and take a look at a few different ones, look at them on different time frames to see what we can expect for tomorrow. Tomorrow we have the SPY to watch very closely, as well as the broader market, being that we have CPI data that's released tomorrow morning. So at the end of the day, we had a massive dump candle, obviously, to drop us back down to about the 409 range after topping out somewhere around 411. So we're going to take a look at the charts real quick and jump right into it. Okay, taking a look here at the 1 hour time frame on the SPY. Just pulling up a chart and getting an idea of what the trends are looking like in the past trading day. You can see we started off today at the lows, somewhere around the 409 mark. Basically a little bit of a retracement into the morning hours. We actually started off pretty high this morning in pre-market, having a continuation from yesterday's move, up all the way up to about the 410.80, 410.90 range. Right before market actually opened, you saw things start to dump down and pretty much caught support. I have it set up as another broadening wedge that's been set up since the close of yesterday, which is actually playing the underside of the larger bull channel that we've been following since the lows of the SPY, somewhere around the 349 mark, and have been continuing. So now we're on the outside of that bull channel, or that bull trend. I expect us to do one or two things. Obviously, there's only two directions this thing can go, either up or down. What we actually have here is that we did break back below the 410 level, and it puts us in a really pretty important spot. CPI data is going to be released tomorrow morning, pre-market. Obviously, this thing can only go two ways. Right now, we are still sitting in bullish territory, being that we didn't close below our breakout level here, which was at 409 from yesterday before we ran up to the 410 level unexpectedly. So that's a good sign in terms of where we could possibly bounce. But if CPI is for whatever reason negative at any point, what we're going to probably see is a continuation of this broadening wedge to the downside. Levels I'd be looking for would be puts all the way down to about 409. If that breaks, you got this level here at 408. Worst case scenario, I can see 407.68 would be the bottom. If CPI is negative, I would look for a bounce here, wait for a retest, possibly the underside somewhere around 409, and then play puts all the way down to 407. If for whatever reasons we actually have any kind of positivity, this is immediately going to jump up to the 413 mark, which I have marked here. That's going to be the midline of the bull channel that we've been set up for the last few months now. So pay close attention to that. Again, the ABC pattern, ABCDE pattern on the bullish, on the broadening wedge situation here. This could be considered a partial decline, which would bring us right back up if we're bullish. If it retests here 410 and we have a negative details, that CPI report, we're coming right back down, and it puts all the way down. 407 would be the bottom in my opinion. But if it is for whatever reasons more negative or worse than we think, we're going to play the larger situation here, the larger broadening wedge that we have, or broadening top wedge here that we have, and most likely play all the way down to about 400. So hopefully we have a beat tomorrow. I'm still thinking the SPY is bullish overall. The market's pretty bullish overall. We have some good opportunity to make some good money on a lot of different stocks, and it's carried over into a few others we're going to talk about here. All right, now pulling up the charts here for crypto, some of the crypto sector tickers that we have here: Mara, Riot, Coin. Some of the big movers today. I actually did some of the most amounts of volume, as well as some of the highest gains that we had on the day. In terms of options, I actually picked up some $13 calls for April 21st on Mara. Mara huge mover. I actually got into those around the $9.50 mark. At the highs today, roughly at about 1065. So that was roughly about a 50% play on a further out date. Could have done a lot more if we had closer out dates for that particular one, but still wound up being a great play nonetheless. But if you have been paying attention to the crypto sector, you see that Bitcoin actually was able to break some 52-week highs back over about 30,000, roughly about 30,500 was the number we actually hit today, and it was all over the crypto sector tickers here, the ones I just mentioned, like I said a minute ago, Riot, Mara, Coin, and BITO, BITO, which is the Bitcoin ETF that was formed a little while back when Bitcoin was at all-time highs. Some big movers today. As you can see, I've got the 1 hour chart here on Mara. I do see some continuation for some, if you'd like to see, jump into some place tomorrow, most likely. Continuation, if we can break the 1073 mark, 1074 mark around there. I can see if we catch support outside of this breakout zone. If we catch support up here, we did get rejected around 1065 today, came back down. I can see that this can most likely get a retracement because it was a big move. At one point, I believe it was almost 17% up on the day. Pretty much finished the day at around 12%, 12.42%, and down now after hours about 0.68. If we can find support at this region, I can definitely see us pushing back up to that 1070 mark, consolidating up here a little bit, and then we again continue on to the $13 mark. That's going to be the biggest area of resistance that I can see. Taking a look at the daily chart. Daily chart pretty much shows the underside of the consolidation area that we've had over the last few months, back in September of 2022 and so on. Pretty much hitting the underside there. Once you break into that zone, I can see this again clearly hitting $13. If that breaks, that must mean Bitcoin's probably on a bigger run. Ethereum will be on a bigger run, and there'll be continuation. But until we see that, we have to also pay attention to the Bitcoin sector and also in all the cryptos to see how they're doing, to see if this is something that can continue on. But definitely a sector to pay attention to is going to be crypto, not just because of what's happening in the broader economy, but also with the banks. We do have a little bit of a bull rally happening right now, but it all comes down to what CPI looks like for the next couple of days to see if there can be continuation on these types of stocks. But there's great opportunity. I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at the, I do have a couple of runners sitting here, so I'm going to take a look at the indicators on this particular one. Just to give you an idea of the targets and whatnot. I have a few different indicators that I'm running at this point, but the levels that I'm looking for are going to be some of the crosses on the 921 as well as the 1348 over the 200. Smooth moving average I have right now is roughly at about $14. So this is on the daily chart once again. You can see here I have a target of 1077 on the harmonics, which is just about where we got rejected. I'm looking to get over that 200 EMA, which is that red line running here. If we can find some consolidation up on this particular level, this is again around the 1020, 1022 mark. I can see us pushing up again above that 1077 and then start working our way towards target 2, which is roughly about $13.87. Which by that point in time, I'd say we probably move closer to the end of this month or in the middle of May if Bitcoin continues to run, or beginning of May. Let's see here, and I'd say we probably top out right about there before retracing back fully. Again, keep a lookout of the Bitcoin sector as well as everything in crypto because it's opportunity, it's hot. We might be starting the next bull run on the crypto market, as well as Coin and Riot, two other tickers that had a monster day today. They all moved up towards highs. Riot had a huge day, up 17% on the day, and after hours down now about 1.05%. But basically a really huge move. I'm looking at about $13 on this particular stock as well. That'll be about the 800 EMA on the daily. So keep a lookout for that. If you got into it, congratulations. If you got any runners in the calls, congratulations. Again, pay attention to the crypto market because there's going to be some big moves on this thing within the next few days. As long as Bitcoin can hold above the 30,500 or 30,000 level in the next couple of days, a lot of opportunity to be had there. And another play we got into today was GME. Actually wound up getting into the GME calls for this week. I'm expecting a big move to actually take place this week on GME. I mean, the volume profile is pretty much ready to go on this thing. ever since the run up to about, what was it, the run up after the positive earnings, roughly to about 27 or 28 bucks. 50% move after the earnings report that took place the other day. This is actually long overdue. We did wind up hitting a critical level after it came back down and retraced. I was expecting the 22.30 mark to hold up pretty true, and it for the most part did. You can see that we are in an accumulation pattern. I went ahead and marked off this rounding bottom. You can see the stock is actually rounding up and getting ready to move towards its next level, or the LPS stage, before it takes off. I would love to get back above 23 to 23.50, start consolidating there and get moving up to the upside, but it's been delayed, obviously for obvious reasons. With these meme stocks, you know how it can play out for the most part. But for example, they just basically held it down throughout the entire day after the little bit of a move it had this morning. And right now we're sitting right back down, roughly around 22.69 was the actual closing price. High today was somewhere around the 23.15 mark, is what we got today, which is actually a really healthy move on GME. Particularly, this accumulation pattern is still in place. Pretty much you saw that there was an automatic reaction off of the drop off or sell off from that from the highs of that run. This is on the 4-hour chart. We had the automatic reaction up to here off of that sell climax. Automatic reaction brought us back up to about 24.50, and basically dropped off until we had a spring test here, spring test off of the 21.50. Tested back at the 22.30 mark, which is where I mentioned most of my calls for the 414 date, which is this coming week, the end of this coming week anyways, up until hopefully we see a pop to about $24 in a little bit. We're in the LPS stage, looking for last point of support once again up above here. On the 4-hour chart, you'll see, I'll go ahead and pull up some of the indicators that I have here for some of the near-term targets. Hopefully we can get this thing over with, because GME, AMC, they're both ready to go. I don't know how long they're going to keep these things under wraps while the market is pushing forward, but pretty much everything right now is waiting on news from CPI. Hopefully that comes in relatively bullish so we can start to see our stocks move. You see I have the breakout, the trend lines will break out here. The next move hopefully should push us through. That'll break this symmetrical triangle, move us to our next target, which I have here as roughly 22.47. If we go ahead and break that, we can start to see the next target that we have on the, let's see, the next chart. I'd hopefully like to move towards the 800 EMA, which is again 24.67. That's the 800 EMA on the 5-hour chart. That's the max I'm looking for on the next move. Hopefully we can get that this week so we can print on these calls and start moving toward hopefully a bigger move. Now it is possible, based on the volume and the way things are, I do have a volume pocket within this area. If we can go ahead and break 23 again, we have a volume pocket on the profile, which should get us up here. If we do break that 25 or 24.66 level, this thing can really start to move. I can see us then hitting that 30 mark. Almost, well, 27.50 would be the next level. From there, $30 would be in sights. GME has moved like this in the past. It doesn't really run into a lot of resistances because there's just really not that much trading in those areas. A lot of air and volume pockets up there in that area. So if we do see that move, it'll happen quickly, and it'll be pretty violent because this thing has been suppressed also just as much as AMC has. So keep a lookout for the move on GME. Most likely we're going to get in the next day or two. I'm going to move to a closer time frame here. Let's say 15 minutes. I'm expecting a little bit of a retracement based on the way things moved back today. I had it set up here where we had a descending broadening wedge. I removed the indicators for the time being. The descending broadening wedge wound up playing out today up until a certain point, and it was rejected just before the end of the day, before we were able to break back towards 23, and has now suffered a throwback. The throwbacks in the descending broadening wedge most likely will get us to the midline test one more time. So I'm expecting us to hit at least 22.40 before we potentially make a move back up. Volume was pretty low on the day, so On the average, we usually do about 5 million volume. Today, I think was less than 3 million. So things are being delayed, obviously, for whatever reasons. OPEC states looking to come about within the next few days. At the end of the month, I have a lot of calls for the 21st of this month, as well as for the 28th, just in case they stretch this thing out a little bit longer. But GME, keep a lookout for it. I guess if it does go down here, I'm looking to load up more calls around the 2240 range and play those back up, because I do see a lot of potential. Everything is just ready to run. Just a matter of getting through all the chopping and nonsense in the meanwhile, while CPI and things like that are going on. So keep a lookout for GME.
Pretty much BBBY is actually something to pay attention to. I know a lot of folks are actually still in this particular play. Had a nice day today, up as much as 17% today. If you follow me on my Twitter, I actually made a call out saying that we most likely hit the bottom roughly between that 28 to 29 cent range. And right from there, we actually had a nice pop up, roughly 17%, about 34 cents before it retraced back, down finishing the day at 5.98%. 28 cents was pretty much about it. I'd say that leading into tomorrow, having earnings is going to be pretty big. I actually, just for some what's, I actually went ahead and bought a couple of calls just in case it decides to run for 50 cents a little further out into the beginning of May. I don't plan to hold this throughout the range, but I can see some possible continuation out of whatever excitement comes out of BBBY's call on earnings. I don't, in a bankrupted company, I can't see much really happening with them, but you never know. The way this market operates, it seems like bankruptcy can be a catalyst in some situations. So we're going to keep an eye on that. If I take a look at the indicators on this particular move, everything is pretty hot at the moment, but again, you do have the possibility to run up. I see the 800 EMA right now on the 6-minute chart. This is more so for intraday moves, but it did break back above the smooth moving average, which is roughly around the 31.48 mark. It's finding support right now in the after hours. I have an 800 EMA sitting at about 35 cents. High possibility that we're finding support off of this moving average. If it continues on with this type of movement, and also with the most likely the influx of volume that's been coming in the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, I should say even, it's a huge possibility that you get this move starting tomorrow into earnings. I'm probably going to be out of the calls by then, way before the earnings plays out, because of the fact that there are huge moves that are expected. The expected moves can range really highly, and you can get pretty much theta crushed, IV crushed, if the move doesn't go in your direction, if it's for the expected move. So be very, very mindful of that if you decide to get in. Calls that I'm in are actually for the first week of May. Expiration date, 50-cent call if you're interested. But right now I have a 30-minute chart. Taking a look here, we have at the bottom, you can see it's rounding out. Let's go ahead and remove this for a quick second. The stock has been rounding out. It has taken a beating over the last few weeks, but it's starting to round out, finding a bottom. I did notice that there is a lot of divergences or bullish divergences on the longer time frames between the monthly as well as the weekly chart on the money flow index and things like that. So let's keep a lookout for this thing. If it does round out, you can see your support levels 35, 38, 50 cents is what I'm looking for, a possible pop here. If it does run really nicely, you can get a decent push on those calls. I know a lot of people, again, are still in this particular play and still believe in it, so I do want to make sure I go over it a little bit from here. But I don't have anything really harmonically on this thing as far as targets are concerned, but it's really tough to find penny stocks, but we're going to keep and see what we got going for the time being. It does seem to be pushing up right now, about 373 right now at the moment, 3.86 at the moment, up in after hours. So we'll see. The excitement is already starting to build, so keep a lookout for BBBY in the next couple of days or so. If it does really start to run, look out. And finally, taking a look here at AMC. Everyone's involved, and pretty much keeping a lookout at AMC at this point. Right now, we have a nice breakout that occurred today off of the volume profile we mentioned yesterday. We did have a nice 7% day yesterday. Wound up having as much as a 6% day today on top, a total of 13% on the last couple of days. we hit the range and targets. If you watch my last video on AMC, we did hit my range that I mentioned. We broke through the 537 mark with some decent volume, and we're able to break out 537 and go ahead and top out all the way at the 664 mark. I had a level of 665 as being 568 as being a level to break in order to start to see some continuation from there on the 1 hour chart. We'll take a look at a closer time frame to get an idea of what actually took place and how we're retracing in after hours, roughly down now about 0.55% on the day, on the after hour session. I do see another test and continuation tomorrow. We are in a pretty volatile time frame right now at AMC, so I can see while the anticipation for the reverse split starts to come in, I can see some things happening here with volume starting to increase over the next couple of days. If we are unable to break that 575 mark, which is I would expect to be the major high of the time frame, we are going to bump right into the descending broadening wedge top, which is a key area to kind of break through in order for us to see continuation. Highly unlikely that it doesn't happen, but if it does occur, it's a huge possibility we can break back down into the low 5 area, if not lower. So it's not completely off the table just yet. We're not out of the woods, so to speak. So do keep a lookout for that area if you're in calls. Again, we're still playing the ABCDE pattern on this broadening wedge on the daily time frame, and you can see the top end. This yellow line is actually the top end of the descending broadening wedge pattern that we have on the longer time frame, and that's pretty much the breakout point for us to start to move up. If we do get that break above 575, I'd be looking for the next level at about 613. If you follow me on Twitter, I laid the entire numbers there of support and resistances to break before we start to move. If we do get into that channel 613, from there we're looking at the $7 mark, $7 to $8 mark very shortly after. So the white lines I have marked here are going to be your volatility zones, I'd call these, which are just before OPEX, after OPEX, as well as the reverse split date and the earnings date coming up on May 8th, which is actually going to be a morning earnings date for the first time, which must mean something positive is coming from Adam Aaron, so we're going to keep a lookout on that too. All right, so guys, stay tuned on this particular stock. Remember, manage your risk if you're in any calls. Stay conservative with this one because there are a lot of ups and downs with this thing in this volatility spike zone that we're in. So stay vigilant, and keep on pushing. All right, once again, thanks guys for joining me today on the review of the charts. Looking to be putting a lot more of these out going forward consistently. Trying to update the content, make sure I get the best quality that I possibly can. Stick with me for the next videos. If you like or have learned anything or provided any value to you guys, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share this with everybody that you may know that was interested in trying to learn a little bit more about the markets and what happens on a day-to-day basis for any calls, puts, plays, and things like that. Let them know about this particular stream, and hopefully we can help them out as well. But keep a follow on me. I'm going to most likely be putting out a Discord to give a little bit more in-depth details on how I trade, different trade tickers and trade ideas I put out. So go ahead and click the like button, subscribe, and hope to talk to you guys soon. All right, catch you later.